It was actually
put it
floating.
in the dirt under, like on the side. Like
the way it was floating in the water barrel pissed me off as well. It was just like kind of leaning on
right
the
there.
side. It was like
I'm gonna
it was
be
just
honest.
aimlessly. It was like
It almost climbed out and fell into his hand.
yeah, that's what it looked like.
Why is the jury laughing?
Zero chance of winning the game.
Supposed to talk glamour to you.
My grandmother's sitting home watching Jerry Springer.
Lee, is there any way I could have your jacket?
Welcome back to Survivor Breakfast after our little 1 week hiatus. Last week we lost Ellie. This week we've lost Dwight. Our first true post-merge vote here. I'm going to be honest, boys. I hate to start it off with a negative vote. I am not happy with the Survivor editors this week. I'm interested to hear what you guys think, but it just feels like they keep cutting out conversations that we should see. The only time anyone mentioned voting for Dwight was a 30-second conversation between Cody and Jesse with no indication that they talked to anybody else about it. And that's upsetting to me. I want to go into these tribals having the information. I might not know how it's going to lay out, just like the players might not, but I don't want to be blindsided by a vote like this as a watcher. It's not personally how I like to watch Survivor, so I'm a little upset about it, but I want to hear what you guys think about that stuff.
Well, we left off last episode 2 weeks ago on kind of just we drove ourselves down a path saying shit. Like a realization was that this was getting a bit monotonous 3 seasons in a row. This type of Survivor season, and to be quite honest with you, last week wasn't much different. And Sam, I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. Cody and Jesse went down this narrative to vote out Dwight. And then there was another confessional of Jesse saying, "All right, we have the option to vote out Dwight. Why do you guys? Why'd they have that option? What was conveyed to them that they 100% had that option? Clearly, what happened, I guess, was that they were segmented in groupings of 4 and 4 for Ryan and James, and they knew they had the power to shift over to just vote Dwight. But then, how'd they know other people were voting for Dwight? I guess they spoke to Ryan and James, but no one talked about it. It's just like
100%.
Yeah.
Candidly, it's just Survivor's missing right now, and there's not a lot else to really say about it. I mean, I kind of like the twist where they could have maybe, formed their own. We'll get into this, but formed their own groupings today. That was cool. That was a little bit of a change, but
Yeah.
Sam, I'm with you. It's a little disheartening continually.
Yeah. I mean, listen, guys, 3's a crowd, right? Because I share all the sentiments. I'm a huge Survivor fan. I do a podcast about Survivor, if you guys don't know. I'm pretty disappointed, to be honest. I didn't like how this episode shook out. I do think that there's key information that's being held from us. It's not even just the motivation on a very surface level. It's the motivation. Sorry, they're hiding what the conversation is to vote, right? They're hiding that conversation because we know that Jesse and Cody went up to the Coco tribe and said, hey, they're splitting the votes on 2 of you guys. 4 of us are supposed to vote for you, Ryan. 4 of us are supposed to vote for you, James. We're going to take ourselves out of that. We're going to add to your 4, and we're going to take out who I pick. I'm presuming Cody was like, I want to take out Dwight, right? So they kept us out of that conversation. But they also really limited what the motivation for that vote was. So, they said, Noelle is gaining power because she somehow said James' name loudest after everybody in 2 seconds found out that he had an advantage, which I'm sure we'll go into later because I thought that was ridiculous too. But just because she was pioneering it the loudest, I don't know if that's necessarily a reason to turn on somebody who you've been on a tribe with since day one. They don't really go into why, because the actual motivation that was given to us is that Jesse and Cody were afraid that Noelle was taking up so much power and trying to sort of run the show. So obviously, super obviously, they end up targeting Dwight. There's not, there really was not. It was not fleshed out enough, both in the sense that we didn't get a conversation that was key to understanding what was going on. And we also didn't get real, true motivation. Dwight's name came up in the last maybe 7 minutes of the episode. I mean, I could be exaggerating, but maybe the last
I
7
think
minutes
that's
of the
right.
episode, right before they went to tribal, and then now Dwight's going home. I mean, I was watching the screen and saying, if Dwight goes home right now, I'm going to be actually pissed. Not because I'm so obsessed with Dwight or anything. It's just that it doesn't make sense. That's it. It just didn't make sense.
I mean, the reason they gave us was that Cody made some offhand comment to Jesse that, like, I've always felt like Dwight's been a little shady. Like, I don't know. It just feels like you guys said,
No,
it just feels like key information's being held from us.
It's discombobulated. It's these little notions and these little tidbits being thrown at us in piecemeal. It's a lack of really true strategic,
They're bad at Survivor, by the
manipulation.
way. They're bad at Survivor. That's what this is, too, to an extent. They're not good at Survivor. And I don't know if that means that they would be bad on any given season, but the season that's been constructed as it is right now, they're kumbaya. They wait till the last second to come up with a plan. It's so frantic that we can't actually catch hold of what the plan is and ride with it for 5 minutes. Like, it's so chaotic that it's actually hard to watch, and it's chaotic because they're not playing Survivor well. There's maybe 3 people on this entire season that would fare well in a season where they're actually strategic players. It's true. I mean, last season we were actually gifted with a lot of people that had some strategic prowess for the game, and people that came out of nowhere, left field, people who were overtly dominant and dominated for extended periods of time, people who were able to cooperate, manipulate. Here, it's like actual anarchy, and it's only anarchy in the last 5 minutes.
I genuinely think,
Yeah.
And I said this earlier to you, Toast, when we were watching the episode, is, it genuinely feels like this is, to me, my theory here is it's a product of these small starting tribes. I really think they just aren't, the players aren't being challenged early enough, where like these kind of frantic scrambles that normally would happen way earlier in the game are now happening now, where we're past the halfway point. Whereas normally,
I get that they.
if you started with a
Sorry.
bigger tribe, I really think you'd get to this point and you would have had these struggles already and would have figured out, new ways to handle that stuff.
So I think that definitely plays a role, but it still doesn't change the fact that even when they were coming up with how they were going to do the immunity challenge, nobody was courageous enough to be like, "Hey, I want to be paired with Ryan. Ryan's powerhouse. I want to be with Ryan." Nobody said "Oh, Cody and I do well together. I want to go to Cody." They're all shrugged their shoulders and drew rocks. I mean, it doesn't have to be all nice and nice. They know that people are going to be voted out of this game, right? At a certain point, pick up the knife and fucking stab the person next to you. That's what the game is.
Well,
right?
that's what I was
is
about to say. So we've been saying that the casting's been strong for the last 3 seasons. At least having characters that have thoughtful insights in terms of not just game but outside the game and are well articulate. But have they missed the ball on really casting true villains, and that could be catalyst in terms of shaking up the game a bit? I almost feel like maybe that's where they're dropping the ball. I mean, we're some of those X factors. Even if you want to go back to Tony's first season, maybe he got watered down a little bit in Winners at War. But when you go back to Kagiyan, he was viewed as a villain in a certain sense,
Absolutely.
right?
For sure.
So it's I don't know. Maybe they are.
I think you're right.
Maybe they're struggling a little bit more on the casting front than we're really seeing. To be honest with you,
I think that could definitely it. It does feel like everybody wants to be a hero this season. Everybody wants to be the good guy.
it's kind of been like that for the last 3 seasons.
A change I think that you could make that might help that is if you went back to themed tribes. I think a themed tribe helps facilitate that kind of behavior, because you start to bias people and put people in the mindset of, there are different characters I can play while I'm out here, and not just have to have everybody like me, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you literally say, "Hey, you've been designated to the villain's tribe," it's like the Stanford prison experiment. It's like half the people are half the people are prisoners, half of them are guards. Like, the people who are guards are going to play the guards. The people that are the prisoners are going to play the prisoners. And if you tell someone they're a villain and they're on the villain's tribe, they're going to do villainous things.
And I don't even think it needs to be that overt.
Of course, just the obvious example.
Of course, that's the obvious example. I think another thing, though, to your point, Toast, of people not playing that well, And Kale, I'm sure this pissed you off. As soon as they get to the beach, everybody is telling everybody what the advantages are on their own tribe.
This is last week.
Last
but
week
still.
in last week's episode.
No, but we knew that was gonna happen. We knew that they were gonna figure out who that Cody.
They were gonna
had
figure it out, but it wasn't even people figuring it out. Like,
Oh, no,
like,
no,
There's a
listen.
there's
list.
people just
There was a
outly
list.
telling everybody, like, hey, yeah, so this person on my tribe has this, and this person on my tribe doesn't have a vote. Like, just telling people out of nowhere. And maybe there was some context for a relationship to build, you know, in a couple of hours on the beach or whatever, but they didn't show us that. All they showed us was like people milling around, and suddenly two people are talking. They're like, yeah, my tribe has these advantages right now. Like, it was crazy.
Totally a good point. I do think that there's some sort of disconnect with how the game is played or supposed to be played. I don't know what is going on the beach. Kale, I like your point about the villain thing. I think it's really interesting. I mean, I think that like Omer and Jesse are like both like almost like anti-heroes in a way. Like we root for them, you know, and they do like mischievous things and they, you know, backstab, but they're not like Russell Hantz, right? They're not like villainous evil. But the point is that I think that Jeff might have a misconception about what the villain is, because in reality, an example that actually came up in this episode was after they went through that first stage of the challenge, Noelle gets tangled up in that net. She loses her leg and the leg is off, right? And Jeff, I mean, this is problematic on so many ways, but let me start with this first thing and then I'll go into the next thing. Jeff like stops and is like in awe that Sammy would go up and help her out. I'm like, what do you think you think he's going to kick her while she's in the mud? You know what I mean? Like this is not like some heroic action. Like this is like just normal Survivor. Like he's like, everyone's playing for $1 million. Like, and I get that. Yeah. But still like I don't think that that's anything out of the ordinary. That's the first problem.
Case in point with that, Toast, I don't think Russell Hantz wouldn't walk up and help somebody out of the fucking thing.
I don't think Russell Hantz would kick her while she's down. Exactly.
way.
That's what I'm saying. So it doesn't make any sense to be like, oh, this is something out of the ordinary. But then obviously the second point, and I think that's more impactful to the conversation that we're having, is that 5 minutes were spent with the camera fixated on Noelle's leg on the ground, talking about what a, you know, great group of people and everyone's so helpful, even though they're fighting with one another. That's 5 minutes that we lost talking about what people's motivations were after the tribe challenge was over and it was about to be tribal council. I mean, listen, we talk really highly. We speak very highly of Noelle on this podcast. We say that she, you know, I've if anything overestimated her abilities. I've never underestimated her, and still, I think that we don't need 5 minutes of talking about Noelle struggling in that thing. Which, by the way, Janine's struggling right behind her. No one gives her anything about it, but whatever. That's 5 wasted minutes. We could have just seen them go up to Coco and say, "Hey guys, let's change the plan."
If you want to talk about the editors' highlight in their minds of this episode was the comedic value that Gabler's whole, you know,
highlight of the episode.
On and on.
That's the highlight of the episode.
In their minds that was their highlight of the episode, and it was like, okay, that was fun, but it's like,
but it's not enough.
It's not Survivor. It's just a cast member just being silly.
Yeah.
Not being silly, just, you know, him speaking endlessly.
To an extent, it was silly.
He dedicated it to his dog,
homage,
too,
but it was
you know.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is exactly what we said 2 weeks ago. Show us the goddamn beach. Show us the fucking beach.
Yeah, show us the beach. Yeah.
We want to see the interactions on the we see that, like, it just feels like none of the episode is people having conversations on the beach. And even when they do show us conversations on the beach, it's like we get this like 3-second clip of people in the water being like, so, you know, it's so and so, and then it cuts to the next, like, just like let us watch the conversation.
Let's have a conversation that's like a meaningful conversation. The amount of beach time compared to, like, you know, seasons in the 20s and 30s is like down so much. We're not getting any beach time. We're focused. This is honestly another big problem. I'll be open about this too. The advantages have to stop. We have to stop with these advantages. There's too many advantages. I'm sick of it.
They had to give us a list 2 weeks ago.
Why are we
Because they have an issue. They have an issue. Everything's out in the open. Everybody knows everything. They're all watered down. They want advantages to be played for that wow factor at tribal councils, but they've fucked up how they've introduced everything in the past. So they're trying to throw more into the fire to make something happen. But it's all dumb. It's dumb.
Exactly. But the problem is that in the past, you would go out and look for an idol, right? And you would risk social standing to take a sacrifice and be like, I need this now based on what my perception is of where I stand in the game right now. And I'm willing to take this calculated risk. Or maybe somebody who was foolish was like, I don't care, I'm just going to do it. And then we see them get voted out. And we're like, okay, so we understand what the balance is here. And the people that actually go out and get it, like someone like a Tony and someone like a Ben who risk their social standing to get an idol, end up getting rewarded when they play it correctly. Here, we see 4 guys walk to the water well, which, by the way, everybody needs water on Survivor, just like everybody needs water everywhere. Guaranteed to be seen in the water well. It's an open thing. They could have put it in the middle of the fire pit. Everyone has to go and see that. That advantage is going to be found.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Why are we forcing this knowledge is power for the second time in this game?
Because
the knowledge is power is out.
Because they want something at tribal councils, what they want. But they haven't had it in 3 seasons.
I think it's exactly what you said, though, Kale. It's a misunderstanding from the producers where, like, good plays come from that secrecy, not from just people having advantages. Because the people having advantages, I think we've seen it. I think they're less likely to play it in a good way because of that. We're less likely 100%. To have a good moment because people 100%. Have it. And then we get tonight. Every single person with an advantage, except for Carla, because hers is the only hidden one, shuffled their advantage to somebody else.
I don't even know how I don't know how that's still possible, though.
Which means nobody would play it.
How is that possible?
It's possible because Coco is on the out, so the people on the outside, like Ellie and Janine, are not talking. They were not talking about the beads. But I think a point that I tried to make that might have been overshadowed by my own frustration is that James did nothing of substance to find that advantage. He didn't risk anything. He didn't weigh any odds. He just opened up the water well and found an advantage.
But even how they edited it, but even how they edited it was just in the mush. I honestly looked away from the TV 1 second and then looked back and he had
100%. I was gonna say the exact same thing. I was eating dinner as I was watching. I looked down to take a bite and I look up and suddenly they're all looking at this advantage. I'm like, what? Did I just look down for 10 minutes?
It was a 2-step thing because he picked it up out of the water well and then he went to the underneath the camp.
I missed the went under the underneath because they're in the
It wasn't
in the middle.
In the bottle, Simi. It was under the camp.
No, I know. I saw he had to go like reach underneath. It was all a
mosh pit. It was a mosh pit. At the same time, they're talking about Dwight and fucking Noel and going back to James and then nobody's talking. It's poor right now. It's poor. Like
it's really bad.
I hate to say this. Is this? I mean, we're looking at it in the context of it being monotonous too, but is this a bottom 10 season currently?
It's not great. It is not great.
I will say, and you know, we've said this before on the podcast. I have not seen every season of Survivor. This is my least favorite season that I've watched thus far.
Really?
Now I've kind of stuck to the really good seasons. You know what I mean? I haven't really watched a dud season yet.
There are some duds out there. Go watch Thailand.
I'm taking 41 over this.
I am too, actually.
100%.
I think
right
that
now, last year had some interesting mid-game situations.
But 42 I thought was great.
We had some really great plays last season.
42 was great. Last season I thought was great. I thought all of the pre-merge was Blindside, Central.
Yeah, but I'm looking at this in the context still that we still have lost secrecy in the game of Survivor.
Of course, and there was definitely stuff they could improve last season. Of course, they could improve stuff last season. But
the best cast of the 3 was last season.
42.
Yeah.
But either way, I give them the benefit of the doubt with like coming out of COVID and like producing 41 and like being like, okay, we're gonna take some bold changes and bold steps. But like it's run its course at this point, unfortunately for me. And it's like the advantages have gotten out of hand, which is I think a huge problem.
Toast, they haven't even used advantages. No one's
because
used them.
They're impotent. They're all impotent.
I know it's dumb.
The people, they're all bumbling buffoons. They're all bumbling buffoons, and everyone knows every advantage. Kale, can we just back up really quick? When James got the advantage, the 2 seconds after he reached under the thing to get the advantage, not only did everybody know, this is I swear, maybe 30 seconds after he actually scoops up the advantage, not only does every single person on the tribe know that he has an advantage, but they're actually predicting that he has the knowledge, is power.
Yeah.
Every single person shuffled their
sad.
idol.
It's
They're
sad.
playing musical chairs or whatever, hot potato with the advantages for no reason, apparently. And then the worst part, in my opinion, is that it had absolutely nothing to do with what we saw on the television.
No.
It had nothing to do with Dwight.
It was another it was another mosh pit. Honestly, that the challenge talk about Dwight was probably like 5th on the list of most prominent things that happened in this episode. Like that
Maybe even less.
I know.
I know more about Gabler's hero Lester and his dog and Neil than I do about what happened with Dwight.
Yeah.
It's sad because in reality, I don't think Dwight deserved this kind of exit. I'm not gonna lie. If
There
I
was
were on
also-
Survivor-
he
no
came out- did you see
reason
his-
to vote him off.
Did you see his exit? He goes, "Oh, if I did all the deductions correctly, 2 people on Vessi flipped."
Yeah,
I
he
would
knew
love
what's
to have
going
more
on.
insight. Yeah, but how come he knew and we did not?
Yeah, like
But-
I want to
yeah.
know that. I want to see those
He knew
conversations.
it.
I want to see them get flipped.
He knew where
If
the
I-
numbers lied, but we did not.
Yeah. If I were on Survivor and I got voted out, obviously I'd be upset that I got voted out. If I then watched this episode, this was my vote out
I'd be
episode, I'd
pissed.
be so pissed.
Livid.
I would be so pissed. I would be like, what? Like, Dwight himself doesn't have any answers.
They
Can you imagine that?
turned Dwight into a useless cast member.
Yeah.
They turned
Yeah, I
him
don't
into
know why.
a useless, a blip on the radar. Like,
For no reason. I mean,
But
he was
also, like,
doing,
I
he
don't
was
know,
doing pretty
like-
decent.
and look, maybe this is our bias because this is how we like to watch Survivor. But like, I want to see the argument that Jesse and Cody are making to these other people. I want to hear the.
But they're not. They're probably just not. Like we said multiple
You think they're
times,
just
they
walking
probably
over,
went up
going, "It's Dwight now," and
to
everyone's like,
Ryan and James?
cool.
To Ryan and James, yeah, they're probably
They're
just
willing to
agreeing
do
with
whatever
it.
because they
Yeah.
if they find out if they say, hey, listen, everyone's splitting the vote on 2 of you Cocos, so us 2 Vessies and all 4 of you Cocos are going to vote for whoever I say, like I said, and Cody was like, we're doing Dwight. My question is, I have 2 questions. The first question is, was it only 6 votes on Dwight? Because I feel like, did Sammy vote for Dwight too, or did he not vote for Dwight?
"Oh God, I forgot."
It was 3 and 2. There was 12 people, right?
12 people, but did 7 of them vote for Dwight?
Yeah, there was 3 and 2, so it had to have been 7. They showed 6.
Oh, 3-2-7. So then I think Sammy also voted for Dwight, which is interesting and also far more confusing because now we have another element of this other side that needs to be addressed.
I think
because
Sammy's gonna win the game, by the way.
I think so too.
He's playing really well. He's
I
playing
think
really
Carla. I think Carla and
Yep.
Jesse are decoys
Sammy.
that might be going back and forth for Sammy.
No,
Um,
yeah.
I see.
I
Yeah.
think I think they might have decoy stories that ends up with a Sammy win.
Yeah.
No,
but
Carla
regardless,
that
was
Carla
the first
has a
point.
good shot too. Carla has a good shot.
Carla is playing Survivor right now better than anyone else out there except maybe Sammy. I mean, we haven't gotten as much from Sammy. He's been shielded from a lot of this tomfoolery. But in reality, Carla is the only person who has something secret against all odds, by the way.
Candidly,
and is
we are
also
so
interacting
far,
with people.
We are so far gone that I'm almost of the belief if you that Gabler's up there for playing top Survivor play. To be honest with you, I really think he was in the right with everything he did last week, with everything that happened with Ellie. The fact that I
Yeah.
can sit here and say that Gabler might be playing some of the better Survivor by actually
It's crazy.
looking to maneuver is insane.
Well,
He knew that he was on the bottom.
Gabler made a
could not
move.
sit with Baca. Yeah.
Gabler made a move and it worked. She was gone.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
like he didn't do it on his own, but
No,
like,
but he
actually looked
he
to
set that
maneuver
boulder
when he,
rolling.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. That's how
Let's-
far
let's-
gone we are.
Let's
What-
let's
wait,
step
so-
back though for a second. What
Yeah, sure.
possible? I just can't get my head.
Oh,
around.
here we go. This is what I was going to
I
say
can't get
too.
my head around why is Cody and Jesse taking out Dwight? What could possibly?
What is their
be
motivation?
Your reasoning? I just don't understand. I mean, like I know we hear Cody say like, oh yeah, he's always been kind of like shifty or not
Maybe
super
Gabler
solid.
voted with them too. You said Sammy. Maybe Gabler voted with them. By the way,
I think Gabler voted for Ryan.
Oh.
I think
I missed the votes. I
think
didn't
it was
read the- I
Sammy.
didn't
I
read the
think it
votes.
was Sammy.
I think it was Sammy too. We'd have to look back, but I can't comprehend this motivation.
I was about to extrapolate. We saw that
I can
Gabler
look
had his
at Survivor
conversation with
Wiki
Cody.
right now and see if they put it up. Let me see.
Cody and Gabler had their conversation earlier in the episode, so maybe they feel that relationship has substance. Clearly, there's a relationship with Jesse and Carla that was exposed on the episode that they feel tight together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we all saw that.
Oh, okay. They actually did put it up. It's 732.
Yeah.
Cassidy voted Dwight. Cody voted Dwight. Gabler voted Ryan. James voted Dwight. Janine voted Ryan. Jesse voted Dwight. This all makes sense so far. Carla voted Dwight. Noel voted James. Owen voted Ryan. Ryan voted Dwight. And Sammy voted Dwight. So who talked to Sammy? Who talked to Sammy about this? How did Sammy get involved in this plan?
Well, however he is involved, that's another reason why I think
No,
that
but
he's in the know. So that's why
he
I
is
think
in the
he is good shit.
he's in
Yeah.
the know. But what
I
I'm
have
saying
no
is
idea.
they had to go up to Coco and say this.
I want to
So
debate the
there's
fuck
two
out of you
reasons.
guys on this right now too, but I have nothing to go at you guys with.
No,
Wait,
there's
no,
nothing to go
there's
off
nothing.
of. That's the problem.
Can I just get in there a little bit because I know I'm complaining about it too, but they would have had to go up to Coco and say, we're actually going to change the plan. Did they then think, oh, we don't want to blindside Sammy though? Because even in the episode, in the preview for the next episode, they were saying could this 7 be the 7? I'm like, who's the 7th? There was there was two Vesties and 4 Cocos. Who's the 7th? It was Sammy. But how did Sammy get involved in this? And here's the other thing. If you could pull together Sammy right now as Cody and Jesse, why not just take out all of Coco and then pull in Sammy? What is the motivation for going right now and switching this up? Is it the fact that you can do it?
No. You have to evaluate and see. Noelle clearly was lining with Janine a little bit. I think because they kept tapping.
Yeah, they were.
They're tight. They're tight.
Yeah. They seem to be tight, and Noelle and Dwight seem to be working together a lot more tightly than Jesse and Cody were with Dwight.
Yeah.
Sure.
Noel's closer with Dwight.
You don't have to take
Cody
out.
and
You don't have
Jesse
to take out all of Coco. I'm just saying, what is basically what I'm saying is, I understand that Cody and Jesse had motivation to take out Dwight / Noelle at some point in the game. That's not what I'm arguing. I know that they have that incentive at some point, but why right now? Because Jesse was like, we can do the thing that we planned on doing, or we can do something that's more difficult and change the vote. But it's like, are you doing that just because you have the ability to do that, or is there actual substance behind
here's the
this
thing.
idea?
We don't know the answer because we have been given no substance, right? And two, the bigger thing is that they probably have a read that it makes sense for them to line with Coco. Yes, they'd then be outnumbered by what Coco would have if it went to that 7. They'd be on the bottom of a foursome with the Coco tribe. But clearly Cassidy has some leanings, or at least we're going to, with Janine somehow, some way, a little bit. They probably have a read that James, Carla, James and Ryan aren't severely connected, but we don't know any of this. So I'm just speculating, but it's they have to have some read that they
Cassidy,
wouldn't be.
The upsetting thing to me is that, based on the play that we've seen from everybody, I'm not confident that there's any reading going on. It really feels like they just made some emotional decision to swap this vote because they felt they wanted to.
Or it seems like it's a power play, and it's like, look what we can do, and this is a resume booster.
Put themselves up at the top.
If it doesn't actually add value, I don't know why you would do it. What's the point?
I just don't understand.
Especially now,
what
James
getting
has
rid of
knowledge
Dwight
is power.
does for you.
Why would you not want to get rid of? Why would you not want to get rid of James?
The knowledge is
as
power.
Cody.
The knowledge is power unless you're using it, which is the only way you should ever use the knowledge is power is you use it that same tribal because you're gonna have the target on your head.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power is a pain in the ass to have now too. It's again, I hate this.
Why?
I think that knowledge and power though,
you
you can't play it on this one because everybody has it. You gotta let everybody get complacent so that you can actually target people in tribals. You knew everybody was gonna swap. 4 people watched him get it. You know what I mean?
But nobody knew he had
saying
it.
that when you what? Yeah,
Or did
nobody.
they? I don't know.
They seemed pretty. They all seemed pretty certain. He also
enough to give people on different tribes.
Dude, he also walked up to like 5 people as soon as he got it.
Yeah,
and
he
said,
did.
I got the
He
knowledge
did.
of power. He told everybody.
He did. Yeah, that was maybe like 2 seconds after you put your fork down, Simi.
He
After you
picked
had
it
that
up
bite
and
of
walked
food.
straight to the next person he saw.
It's a mosh pit. Here's the thing.
Why
guys,
is this
too, is
advantage
that,
in
like-
for a second time? Why is it in again?
Because they want to
want
play it
see
so
it played
fucking
out.
bad.
They want to see it played out.
They want
it's
somebody to play it
lost all
so
its
fucking.
luster.
I agree.
It's not cool anymore. If you could just open up the water well and here's the knowledge is power, it's lost all of it's lost all of its
sucks.
allure. I mean,
I
it's
can't
like-
believe they
sucks.
put it in the fucking water barrel.
Why?
Like
did
I
they
know
do that?
I don't want to
Yeah.
keep harping on it, but like what the fuck? Why
Yeah,
would
why
you
in the
put
water
it in
well?
the water barrel?
It was actually
Put it in the
floating.
dirt under, like, on the side,
the
like-
way it was floating in the water barrel pissed me off as well. It was just like kind of
was
leaning
just
on
right
the
there.
side. It was
Yeah.
like
I'm
it
gonna
was
be
just
honest.
aimlessly. It was like
It almost climbed out and fell into his hand.
yeah, that's what it looked like.
I'm gonna
It
be
looked
honest,
like
when
it was
they lifted-
maneuvering its way up the wall.
When they lifted the lid and I saw the bottle, I thought it was gonna be some weird thing where like somebody poured something into the water well and people were gonna be pissed because they left something. Like I was like, what
like
the
a
fuck is
character-driven
this?
scene.
This could possibly be an
something
advantage.
character-related?
It didn't even cross my mind that it could be an advantage until they like picked it up. I was like, it couldn't possibly. What a dumb thing that you would do.
Kale,
Bad.
just I guess to switch gears a little bit here, it's also something that I'm disappointed in. Your girl Cassidy, who I think probably is somebody who has interesting things to say, potentially because the alternative is what we saw tonight, but Cassidy did not say a single word this episode. Not a single thing came out of her mouth.
Yeah, what happened with that?
I
She
mean,
didn't even talk at tribal.
what-
They didn't give her a single question.
Yeah, listen, I
Nothing.
jumped off the Cassidy boat a couple
No,
episodes.
no,
Let's be
I'm not trying to
No,
take
no,
you down
no.
by saying that. I actually am saying that I feel like she has something of value to add. I'm actually wanting more from her.
I
and
agree.
We're not getting it, and I don't know why that is. I mean,
We truly
what could
didn't
that-
even get. We truly. This is why we're still putting Carla up because she's still got camera time and people are confiding in her. But did she even really have a true confessional tonight?
Not. I don't. I
not
don't know.
really,
I don't know
no.
off the top of my
I
head.
don't
But
think
she
so.
was
I
the
don't
one who
think-
Not that
kicked
I can
off the
remember.
talk. When we got back to the beach, she was the one who was like, "So what are we thinking? Like,
In the ocean? All right, that's yeah.
No,
I mean,
not
that-
in the
that-
ocean. To Jesse when they were standing by the camp. Like,
Well, yeah, 'cause
she was the one that kicked off the
seems
strategy
to me
talk.
that's going to be an interesting alliance right now, the Jesse Carla situation. Yeah, but to the point is that like she didn't really talk much tonight either. I mean, Sammy had a couple confessionals because they seem to continue to give him confessionals just to kind of narrate the situation.
Yeah.
Which is
Well,
why. Which is
what
why.
about- Sorry, what about the? You said it's going to be an interesting situation with Jesse and Carla. We hear Jesse in a confessional say that he views Carla like family. Like he trusts
other than
her
Noelle,
more
is
than
what he said.
Noelle. He trusts her
Yeah.
more than Noelle. But where was that conversation? Did I miss
I
that
know.
convo too?
They're not
I know.
showing it to
Did I miss
us.
that convo too? Because now I just have to assume, based on what was said out loud to me, that they have a close relationship, like family. Like family. I'm laughing because like
This is like
obviously
Vin
you
Diesel.
think of your
This
own
is Vin
family and
Diesel.
like your connection to them.
This is for family.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel, Fast and
Yeah,
Furious.
this
Vin
is
Diesel.
Fast and Furious
This is-
12, Jesse and Carla.
They
But,
should
like,
start
but-
playing "See You Again."
it's
Basically
just,
for Charlie Puth.
it's just show us the fucking beach. Show us the
Show us, yeah.
godforsaken beach.
Yeah, show
Oh
us the
my
beach.
god. It's the like I
It's the
just feel
winter
like-
time here in the Northeast. We missed the sand. We missed the water. Give us,
Show us
the
the
beach.
beach.
Give
Give
us
me
the
some
beach.
sand between my toes. I feel like there's this fundamental misunderstanding of like what is actually interesting about the show. It's the people. Like
Yeah,
don't-
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the people. It's-
show, don't tell. Don't just be like, oh yeah, believe us. They're like family. Show us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, so let's dial it back just briefly. I know, and I don't want to continue to talk in circles about it, but I think that they have done wrong in terms of the advantages, and really nothing's been played to any spectacular, in any spectacular way. Is that now they're just throwing shit at the wall, and
Something
and they're
has
so,
to be played.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
they're
they want something, but it's a complete mosh pit, and now we're losing out on really, flushing out storylines and flushing out true alliance lines through conversations, and they just want to continue to talk about, it's kind of exciting that everybody's shuffling around their shit. No, it's not exciting if nothing's actually fucking happening. You know it's not happening. You know it's not happening at the tribal, so I don't give a fuck.
Honestly, I would have preferred them just not even showing us that stuff. They should have
not showed it.
They cut out Omar having an advantage completely last season. They never talked about it.
That's
crazy.
They never talked about it. Yeah.
That was
so
crazy.
why do they have to do this tonight and we have to miss out on shit?
I mean,
Gosh
I guess that means that it's going to come into play later.
Some strong language
but
there,
in reality, here it's just like it doesn't fit. I mean, Jesse's interactions tonight are the perfect example. He votes for Dwight, which we don't know the motivation about, and he votes for Dwight with Carla, who he has a family akin bond to, which we have no idea about either. So it's like we're just like we're just listening.
For family.
We're like reading Spark Notes about what is happening out on the beach, and it's not.
No, they
substantive.
Spark noted the fuck out of us the entire season. That's what they've done. You're going into school. You read the Spark Notes, and
you're gonna get it. You're gonna get a 90 on the test. You'll do fine.
You're good to go. Survivor's like, all right, here you go. You're good to go.
I mean, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, like this weekend, I had a conversation with our good friend John Miotti, and I was saying to him, I was like, this season, I literally thought to myself multiple times, like, why am I even watching pre-merge? And now I'm post-merge, and I'm like, why am I even watching until there's the final six?
So candidly, I was just about to say this to that exact point. There is nothing of substance that I'm like super excited to see get flushed out because there is nothing. There's nothing to attach to right now.
The Gabler and Ellie scenario was a little interesting, and I'm happy that it came to some sort of conclusion and closure. Yeah. But what are we waiting on now? What are we waiting on?
We're waiting on one of these idols to be played that everybody knows about? No, I don't care about this shit. We know how this is going to go down like it's gone down the last
It's going to piss me off so much, too. People are going to play idols, and they're not even going to get a vote for them. Like, it's going to be so stupid. It's going to be something stupid like that.
Like Ryan got blindsided and now he's totally fine with everybody. He has no vengeance in his mind. He's not like James is gonna regret this.
That I believe. I think he's got
No. I'm not saying that that's not his actual motivation. All I'm saying is that we don't have like unfinished
that's what we're even missing.
To look
that's what we're
to.
even missing from like last season. You know, you had votes thrown at High from Romeo, and
that kind of came around.
Yeah, and High said,
fun.
"Fuck this shit," and it blew up, and it went nutty after that.
There was a Jonathan versus Lindsay dichotomy. There was a Jonathan versus Marianne dichotomy.
We got nothing going
on. Now, to be fair, most of those things happened later in the season than we are right now. High was right around here. But Lindsay Jonathan was late. Marianne Jonathan kind of started around now, but like we're still kind of plus or minus that area still. Just to play devil's advocate.
We haven't had one true moment at Tribal Council. We really haven't. And the other piece of the puzzle that every vote's been easy.
Well,
there's been nothing tight.
This is the first vote that has surprised me, but not in a good way. I was blindsided as an audience member because of this edit, which is not what I want. I want to be, there because somebody plays something or there's a live tribal or there's something else. But I was blindsided because the editors lied to us.
We keep falling back. I know, but we keep falling back on like, maybe it's like they're not creating a scenario where it can't be, right? In a scenario where Jesse and Cody go up to Coco and they go, okay, they're targeting you, let's go for Dwight. There's no scenario where it can't be that option, so they can't show it. That's what we keep arguing. Maybe that's the case.
I'd rather them show me that at this point.
And I'd rather them show me them go up and be like, hey, Cassidy, we're voting for Dwight. And Cassidy just go, absolutely, I'm on board. Like, see you at Tribal. Like, I'd rather see that. I agree. Because 100%. Then at least we know that a conversation was had. But either way.
No, it's tough.
It's tough.
It's truly tough. I mean, I want to come on here and I want to have Spark debate. This one I'm having the most fun. 2 episodes ago was a letdown. Even how we all just kind of came to the conclusion together in unison. Now we're coming in here a little fired up about it. So I guess that's kind of fun. But it's like I I'm reaching at tea leaves to even say that I feel like Sammy's going to win this game. He doesn't even have advantage. He doesn't have one of any of these. Everybody else has got one. He doesn't even have one, which I almost feel like is the better spot to be in this New Age Survivors. Don't have advantages until maybe getting one right at the end, like Marianne did last season.
We did get
it's just tough.
We did get some beach value during the merge, the mergatory, I should say. Like they did give us, they have to, right? Like they have to show people shaking hands and hugging. So like there's obviously incentive to show that. So they lingered on it a little bit last week. The lack of beach time, especially like the pre-challenge beach time is useless
Non-existent.
in this season. There's no strategizing until they get back from camp, and it's 8:45.
Yeah, but we don't even know where people lie. We don't even know where people lie. So I don't even, as a viewer, I don't even know where to look. I don't know where to look. Because I like the reason why, Simi, you say that you're eating dinner and you pick the spoon up. I don't even know that okay, this character is pretty meaningful. I can't take a bite at this point in time. I don't know where to look. Like I have nothing to bite my teeth into. Speaking about dinner, I have nothing.
100%. Well, because part of the fun of the show is making speculation about like how these characters are gonna. I have no idea anymore because they're just. It's like they simultaneously are over editing the episodes and don't have a coherent story about these cast members at the same time. It's crazy to have both of those.
Overproduced to the point where again they're in advantage hell because they don't know what's going to happen. Now it's
nuts.
I
mean, and to go to your point about the mergatory, I know we got some more beach stuff, but like even just look at the merge feast for the people that won the challenge, bro. That was 2 minutes, maybe.
Yeah,
minute and a half.
Of just
dude. We used to get 10 minutes of people looking for advantages at the dinner, for people trying to make new alliances at the like. It was just Ryan spouting out thing and everybody being like, "What's up with him?"
Yeah,
and then we left.
It's yeah. No, you're right. The I guess to Kale's point about this advantage hell. I want to just comment on that too. It's like this weird. I'll admit that it is a bit counterintuitive, but I also don't want to have such low expectations for production to be able to say that they can't see this. But I will give them the credit to say it is counterintuitive. If they're viewing it simply as not enough advantages are being played, therefore there's not enough advantages, that's the wrong way to think about it.
Yeah.
There's no advantages being played, right? And I think the three of us can say is that there's something else that's causing this. There's something else that's amiss. And it actually may be exacerbated by adding more advantages.
That's because now that's one. The way that they're being introduced, like in a water cauldron.
With nothing to say about that character. With nothing to say about James. James didn't do anything that makes me want to root for James more, having received that advantage. He didn't do anything. He didn't look for it. There's no motivation behind it. It's just simply there.
It's the producer slipped it into his pocket, essentially. And it's not that they slipped it into his specifically. Just they slipped it into a player's pocket for no reason.
But it's not. It doesn't have value then because it doesn't actually give us anything.
100%. And also sorry, go ahead. It's like, well, because
this is sad.
Part of the fact that they're not being played well or at all because the power of those things are being neutered,
mushed.
Yeah, they're impotent.
So it's like why would I play this thing?
Side note,
when it's more powerful because everybody knows about it. It's more powerful as a threat than it is actually being used. It's the same reason why, it's different in our economic environment right now. But in years past, the Fed goes, we're going to raise rates, and then everybody tightens up, and then they don't actually raise rates because it makes the change anyways. Where that's what's happening now. It's like, why would I play it when it's more useful as a threat, and then I never play it because what's the point? It's more powerful to me not being played.
That's where they've rendered it. That's how they've rendered it. But it's.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. All right, we're kind of anti, and I'm there. Can we talk about some positive things?
What do you got?
What, Toast? What do you even have for us?
What do you got?
I think that the
how can this season we'll end with this, I think. How can this season change our minds other than other than them reversing course on showing us everything that we're complaining about? Give me exact something that's crazy that can happen. Forecast me something crazy that can happen.
That's tougher to say.
No, but even that though, dude, it's like we're talking about something that would make the season better in spite of the producers. Like, what are we?
Oh no, it's sad.
About?
I know. Listen, I'm with you. I'm with you. But I guess my question is that okay. Janine rises and triumphs and has a dope blind side with the power of teams up with Cassie, which we saw in the preview that they're
with
going to
the
link
power
up,
of friendship.
like.
Yeah.
No, and I'm like. But here's what I'm talking about. Like they showed that in the preview. Now will that be fleshed out? If that gets fleshed out and they're able to bring someone else in and they're actually having a true blind side and using an extra vote, that will get me going. That'll get the blood pumping a little bit. We need something like that. We need strategic, but it just everybody falls in line a little bit here.
I have no evidence that's going to happen, and the problem is,
and
we have no information to even speculate that something like that can happen because we don't know where people stand.
That's why it's even tough to podcast right now. I'm with you.
We don't have anything to go on to be like, oh, that would be like a hopeful thing. I guess I don't know.
You did Meta Corner last season. Do you even have? I don't even have a Meta Corner.
Just as a quick aside, my AirPods just totally died, so Simi, it might be a little hard to edit. I'm gonna lower the volume on the computer and just have it charged for now. It went from 47% to 0, so I don't think I could really be blamed.
That's a classic.
But I'm lowering the volume on the computer so that hopefully the microphone doesn't take too much of it. Is that gonna help? I don't know.
It's gonna be horrible, but we'll figure it out.
I could also just not talk that much, and you could just cut me. But regardless, sorry, Simi. Regardless. The things that I was going to say that was positive about this episode was I liked the thought process behind picking a partner to go into this immunity challenge with, because they were at least speculating out loud, like, what does this mean? Is this the person we're going to compete with?
You know where they took that from?
What did you say?
That's a massive element of the challenge, the show The Challenge, which is one of their
it is. I know. I watched it, but.
It's one of their sister shows, and that's what I actually was. I was very intrigued when they did that. That was an element that finally I felt like, but then they did nothing.
The players ruined it.
No, but it didn't have any value because they just left it up to chance. Like the second that they were actually given some power to like do something and figure out what the consequences are later, they were like, since we don't know, screw it. Let's just pull rocks. Regardless, I do think it was positive that was something that was introduced.
They basically did the same thing they would have done if that thing wasn't introduced. That was so sad. That was what the saddest part was. They would have picked rocks if they went to Jeff and went to the challenge. They would have picked rocks in that partner.
Exactly. It would have been interesting, because in reality, what's happening is you're picking a strong competitor to help you in the beginning, but then you're facing them in the end. Like the concept is cool. But we didn't really get the motivation behind the outcome because they stripped themselves of any motivation by just going into randomness.
100%.
Regardless, I want to stay positive. I'm trying to stay positive. I thought it was a good idea. I thought it was interesting.
It was.
Another
It was a good idea.
positive thing that we haven't touched on, Kale, I know that this is something that you bring up often, is that once we hit the merge, the challenges automatically change to balance challenges. And they're only balance, and that's it for maybe
this was a fantastic challenge.
Maybe 6 straight challenges are just straight up endurance. Who can stand on this ledge longer? Who can hold this ball and balance it?
We had the Jonathan Lindsay situation last season.
Yeah,
for a number of episodes. This was a great challenge. I'm with you.
I agree. I thought it was a good challenge. I love the staging challenges. They're always interesting. I like the
staging challenges is also what they do on not Exile Island, not Redemption Islands. Well, yeah, they do that in Redemption Island challenges. A lot of them are staging, but they also do that on all the re-entry from. What island is it?
The Edge.
Christ. The Edge.
The Edge of Extinction.
Jesus.
Yeah.
One thing I will say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Gil.
No. The Edge of Extinction re-entry challenges have also always been staged.
Technically, it's a little bit
Winners
different.
at War, those challenges were epic. at winning
but
winners at
that's
war.
a little bit different because everyone was still in it, even though there were multiple phases to it. Everyone was still in it till the end. But they have done challenges in the past where only 4 people, if they land a ball in this thing, move on to the next thing. The rest of the people are out.
Either or, those are great challenges.
Yeah, they're great challenges. No, you're right.
Yeah.
What I will say,
I thought
now
was
that we've
nice.
said something positive about the pairings, which I agree, I did like the idea of them having to pair up. I think what would have made that way more interesting is if you had actually changed the challenge slightly and given them the information of what challenge they were going into. And I think that the thing that you could have done that make it more interesting, for me at least, is if you had told people, we're doing a staging challenge, and then if your team wins, you have to do something versus the person that you're teamed up with for the immunity. Because then I think that decision of who you're going to be paired up with becomes a lot more difficult. Whereas the decision of who you're going to be
I don't know if it would have changed it as a group. But yes,
well, but
I
this is
agree.
what I mean. This is what I mean, though, is right now, the way they had it set up this episode, the choosing of that pairing, I'm just going to try to pick the person I think who is best at challenges
Yeah.
overall, right? If I know that I have to verse them at the end, that means I want to pick the person who's best at challenges, but who I still think I can beat.
Yeah,
Like, that
That
makes
doesn't
that
change your
100%.
motivation, though.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Nobody wanted to move either way.
No,
Yeah.
no, of
And
course.
also-
but I mean, I think you should force people to pick. I think you should make people like have some
yes.
scenario where they actually have to do
Yes.
stuff. But I mean, I think that would have made that decision for people more interesting. Otherwise, it's like, oh yeah, I want Ryan or whatever. But it's like,
No,
if
how
I have
about
to
this?
verse
How about
Ryan
this?
at the end,
How about-
maybe
how
I don't
about
want
they
Ryan on
bring-
my team.
How about producers bring a bag of rocks? First person that gets picked out picks someone else, and boom, then it goes like that, and you're forced to pick.
Oh, like you get like an
and
order.
put people on the spot. Like, listen, like you don't. The show's got to eliminate stuff just being on chance. Introduce a variable like that will put people on the spot. Yeah, it's unlucky that you got picked out and then a spotlight gets put on you because you had to go pick a partner in front of everybody. But
this
do
is-
something like that.
This
That's
is a
something
good example.
Make them make
This is a
social
good-
decisions.
Yes.
This is a good example of where the production is actually not at fault here, and it's the cast that's at fault here.
Oh yes, but that's
Because
Survivor's fault too.
We're seeing this problem from 2 different angles. And Kel, you might be right. Maybe it was the cast last year that was able to overcome this stuff and make it interesting. But here we have a cast that's unwilling to budge, unwilling to do anything until it's the very last second, and then they have to do something, and it's too scattershot to even interpret on our end as the viewer.
The sad part is that I think that this cast is made up of what I believe is decently smart Survivor minds. Like, I do think Dwight was
I agree
smart.
with you.
They said that he was good, an intelligent player in this game, but no one's risking anything, and it's just sad.
It's so safe.
No
but
one's risking anything.
I don't think that the picking of partners is a good example. Like I think if you did the picking of partners in
But there's
last
no
season or the season
controversy, Sim.
before, I think picking rocks is probably a more likely outcome than not.
There's no controversy. Then we need controversy.
That's what I mean. Force them to make
There's no
social decisions.
controversy.
Like make changes
Yeah.
that forces them to make social decisions instead of just like I don't know. It's just
The only
frustrating.
controversy
It's
there
just
was
frustrating.
the Ellie Gabler situation last week, and it was fleshed out for one episode. Boom, done. Boom, ba bam bam. Is it? That's it. that's all we got. So listen, I'll leave it off right here. My stock report. I really don't have much. I'm kind of just holding strong. I'm gonna throw a little bit at Sammy. I'm gonna throw a couple bills at Sammy. I was late to the game on Carla, so I bought. You guys have a much lower price on the Carla side of things, but I'm gonna throw a little bit more money at Sammy, and that's all I really have for you. I don't have much. I couldn't even tell you who's at the bottom of the pack. Janine looks like she's at the bottom of the pack, but I do think she's smart. I wouldn't sell Janine just yet.
I'm
but
selling
it's
Janine.
tough.
I'm
are
selling Janine.
Yeah.
James is a down for me just for the fact that he was getting targeted so constantly
No,
tonight.
it's just
I
2
know.
episodes in a row that he
That's
got
tough.
targeted as well.
Yeah, that's
or at least
tough.
his name
That's
was in the mix.
That's a tough look for James. And
Yeah, but listen,
I think
that's also-
I think the laissez-faire, strategy that he's gone with so far can only last you so long here. I think he needs to start actually playing the
one
game.
thing I'll say. One thing I'll say about that. If you're in James' position and you can navigate and turn the tides towards which it can move quick. Like if everybody starts to realize, okay, there's other factions, there's other shit happening here, and James' name can then get put under the bed a little bit, and then he can kind of navigate a little bit, a couple of votes, and he can be instrumental in those votes. It's actually a resume builder that his name was on the chopping block for a couple different votes.
Totally.
And he can utilize that. So if James can
'Cause
now
he-
shift stuff in the right direction, I actually like James. I like James' prospects as well. I don't think he's dead in the water. Right?
I don't think so either.
He's a more than 50% chance winner for me right now.
I just mean that he's in more danger than he was,
Of
2
course,
weeks
the
ago
knowledge power
when we last
doesn't
spoke.
help him. Yeah.
Tell us
Sammy's
what
my
about
winner
you.
pick. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I think Sammy has the best shot right now. I mean,
It's frustrating.
What about family? What about family? Jesse and Carl.
what about family?
Carla's still
But
my
the-
winner pick right now.
No, I agree.
She is?
I want to say Carla,
sticking
but I
with
do
Carla.
happen. I know.
Those three are the best
I like
edits
the
right
edit.
now. If you want to talk about them from a meta standpoint, Carla, Jesse, and Sammy.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree
for
as
sure.
well.
I think that Jesse went up today just because he
Yeah.
orchestrated this, but had Cody think that he did. And Cody is going to take the blame if there is any repercussions. I don't even know if the other people on the island will realize when they get back to the beach that somebody is missing. So, like, I have no idea. I have no idea. So I think Sammy is up. Sammy, did you do yours, or can I? You already
No,
did
I
it?
did. I basically agree with Kale. I think James went down a
I
little
just-
bit. Carla's my winner pick
I-
still, but
I wanna
Sammy's.
make-
They're could flip at any time.
I want to make just a quick statement, okay? The statement is, I love Survivor. The three of us really like Survivor. A lot of the things that we're saying right now, they suck. We sound like we're complaining a lot, and I hear it from my end. I hear myself complaining. I don't like hearing it. But
No, it's
in
sad.
reality, it is sad, and it comes from a place of passion, and I want things to get better. But listen, what we set out to do by coming together and recording our conversations that we would already normally have on the side without having it recorded is we said we're going to just speak our mind. Like, this is what our mind is. This is like our raw feelings about what we're looking at. We're not going to come at it and be like, oh, this was a great episode when we know it wasn't. And like when things didn't look great, right?
Yeah.
But it's still worth a conversation, which is interesting. I like still talking to you guys about it. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And
It's
let's
just-
be clear, we
we're gonna
wouldn't be
come-
complaining
we're gonna
about this
come out,
stuff.
We're going to be...
We wouldn't be
Yeah.
complaining about this stuff if we didn't care about the show. Like the reason
True.
we're complaining is because we want them to improve. You know what I mean?
But also
we
the
want it to
reason
get
why we're
better.
not... Yeah, but also the reason why we're not just like yada-yadaing it and saying how funny it was that Gabler, talked about Lester and Neil and praising it in some way is to be like, hey, like, we're going to be real about this. This is our actual feelings. Like, we don't have to love every episode to like the show. So just, take it as you want to.
Yeah, Jeff is not lining our pockets to speak nicely about the show.
No. Yeah.
But if he wants to throw a couple bills our way, Jeff, let us know. Especially after this
For
ep.
family,
I'm sure he does
for
after
family.
this ep. Yeah,
family.
yeah, for family.
Family.
All right. Well, I appreciate all you guys listening to our ramblings and complaints these past two episodes. We really appreciate it. If you guys are listening on Apple and Spotify, please rate and review, follow the show. It really helps support us. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe and
Smash that like.
there you go, Kale. And love talking to you boys. Good conversation as always this week. And I'll see you next time.
See you.